Leave anything for us?
Just bodies.
I'd just like you to start off your unit again, John. All it would take is you're coming back.
This was the last time.
Until the next time.
Yes. Good morning, my friends. This is a big one. UFC 281. Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira. Under the bright lights at Madison Square Garden. 14 fights. 9 of which actually are currently favored to end inside the distance. Amped up for this one. Been waiting for this one for quite some time. Have a number of plays up for this specific card. I want to thank MMAOddsbreaker as well as BetDSI for hosting the podcast as we settle in for the big one. One of the best cards of the entire year. 14 fights. Let's get things kicked off. Between Carlos Ulberg taking on Ulberg-Negumereanu. Ulberg representing City Kickboxing. First fighter of the night from that gym, coming in with some precise striking. Negumereanu, Romanian grappler, headstrong, going to try to use his wrestling and also his durability to separate himself here against Ulberg, who, let's be honest, he should be shooting fish in a barrel early and often. And you got to wonder, is this going to be a case similar to the Kennedy Zechukwu bout where he runs out of gas unloading his clip on Negumereanu? Odds indicative that there should be a finish here. Ulberg will be my pick. Under the bright lights, big city, pretty ladies. Should be a finish here for Ulberg. But you must consider that Negumereanu has shown that he can stay in the fight. So if Ulberg isn't able to get him out of there, Negumereanu becomes live. So give me Ulberg in that spot. Next up, we have Julio Arce taking on Montel-Jackson. Montel-Jackson, we haven't seen him since he disposed of JP Bays. That was quite some time ago, my brothers. Julio Arce plus 165 betting underdog here. Arce, I've seen him fight under the bright lights against Shaman Moraes and was in one of the most bloody UFC fights we've seen. Arce, crisp striking, great range management, is able to navigate the terrain of the UFC octagon, the larger octagon. Montel-Jackson, though, massive reach here. Enormous for the 135-pound division. Somebody who he has solid cardio. We wonder what's been going on behind the scenes, why he hasn't been as active as some other bantamweights. It's a stacked division. This is a very, very interesting spot here. Julio Arce, also Tiger Schulman fighter, somebody who's going to have the hometown crowd behind him. I'm hesitant to pull the trigger on Arce just for a couple of reasons. The athletic specimen that is Montel-Jackson, that is a concern. He's a force out there, and in the right gym, I think Montel-Jackson could be a contender at this weight class. I'll be picking Montel-Jackson. I think that he just has too much from an athletic standpoint to cause Julio Arce problems. That jab of Arce, I don't think it's going to be there. I don't think he's going to be able to stick and move against Jackson, who's going to be closing distance and forcing exchanges here. And he may catch Arce. So give me Montel-Jackson in this spot. I understand why folks may be playing Julio Arce, though. Give me Montel-Jackson. Now, we have a significant weight miss here by Mike Trizano, who's coming in as a plus 145 underdog. Trizano, also another Tiger Schulman's fighter. It's interesting. You got these guys going back to back against Seungwoo Choi. Seungwoo Choi is someone who changed camps recently now with Henry Hooft. Still relatively young in his game. We're talking about somebody who just turned 30 years old. Mike Trizano, on the last fight of his deal, missed weight dramatically. Here, concerning 147 pounds. Hometown fighter for Trizano. Trizano, let's be honest, he doesn't do anything great. He also isn't a very high volume striker, isn't a tremendous wrestler. Choi, very crisp striking. Came up short against Kulabao last time out. Somebody who, it's pretty. When you watch Choi fight, it's pretty. His striking is beautiful. He's also very powerful. You watch the Arosa fight. I know Arosa's been on her tear recently, and Choi just laid him out. That left hand, and Trizano got caught by a left hand against Lucas Almeida in the pocket in the beginning of the third round. Choi should be the fresher fighter here. And the longer this goes, I think Trizano may fade, especially considering that weight miss looked horrific on the scales yesterday. I know ceremonial weigh-ins was a different story, seemed a little bit more chipper, but Seungwoo Choi is going to be my pick. And I think that at minus 170-ish, not a bad play there. Trizano, last fight of his UFC contract. I'll be wishing him the best of luck in other endeavors here. Next up, Karolina Kowalkiewicz taking on Silvana Gomez-Juarez. Silvana Gomez-Juarez, 37 years of age. Both of these fighters, 37. I believe Gomez-Juarez turns 38 next month in December. Kowalkiewicz, she's been the UFC darling for a long time. Now she's lost 5 of 6 bouts. She's coming off of a recent victory, but I don't put too much stock into that. Kowalkiewicz, the better grappler here. The problem I have for Kowalkiewicz is she tends to fold and has a deer in the headlights look when she meets power. I was disturbed greatly by watching her take on Jessica Andrade, and that fight didn't need to happen. But in this spot, you have two ladies who are relatively evenly matched, but I think Gomez-Juarez has much more in the tank at this stage in her career. I also am keeping an eye on the fight doesn't go the distance line. I think that this one, despite being a ladies matchup, we've seen quit in Kowalkiewicz before, and that may come out here and show us again. Gomez-Juarez can crack. We've seen against Vanessa Demopoulos and others. She can crack here. I'll be picking Gomez-Juarez, but another instance where you're dealing with women's mixed martial arts, high volatility. And I think that one of them is going to end up either tapping out, or I could see somebody tapping out due to strikes here, to be honest. But give me Gomez-Juarez here. Wouldn't surprise me to see Kowalkiewicz lock something up, though. But give me Gomez-Juarez. Next up, where we have the people's main event, let's be honest here. Matt Frevola, the steamroller, taking on Atman Azaitar. Azaitar coming in as a minus 155 betting favorite. In fact, I've seen this line creep up recently overnight. Let me pull up best fight odds here. And I'm seeing, wow, look at this. Azaitar's in the high 160s. Very, very fascinating stuff. And Frevola can be had for plus 135 at some books now, plus 125 at BetDSI. This is a fascinating matchup where you have somebody, Azaitar, who's been out of the game for a while, someone who we've seen against Timu Pakalin and others can crack. That is an understatement. And we've seen under the bright lights, Matt Frevola have a willingness to trade and exchange with opponents, which that's a dangerous proposition here. I was at the Lando Venata fight, The Steamroller Team Frevola, they run deep wherever they go, and I expect the crowd to be in full effect. I wonder, are we going to hear the Edwin Diaz entrance song when Frevola makes the walk to the octagon? I may be heading into the fights with my sons today. I got to see what's in the cards for the evening. Still on the fence if I'm going to be able to make it in for the bouts, but I've been to MSG before for a number of events, so we'll see. But in this specific matchup, Azaitar on the regional scene, I saw him fight at 170 pounds. This fight was a long time ago. This was like 2016, but you saw he was able to dig deep and stayed in the fight, did not give up on himself. And that's one thing about Azaitar, is he does not give up on himself. Neither does Matt Frevola. So as far as this bout goes, I have some concerns. Frevola is a tough out, man. It's tough to, if you can't find that chin of his, he will grind until the final bell. And I was on the fence about playing fight doesn't go the distance here, also playing under 2.5 here, etc. But I've seen Frevola. I've seen Frevola go deep in bouts, and Azaitar, he doesn't have a lot of quit in him, and I know that Frevola is great about draining the gas tank of his opponents. At this line, I have to pick Frevola here. This is not a hometown pick. This is a pick that, when you look at the skill sets here and you look at the inactivity of Azaitar, it leads me to believe that Frevola could be a slight favorite here. I'll be picking Matt Frevola. Now, does he get clipped? Does he get taken out of there? That is a real possibility. But give me Matt Frevola here. I think that his gas tank, his willingness to go deep is going to be a difference maker, but it wouldn't shock me if he blows his load early. That would not shock me. Because he comes out hot, and he's got to play this. He has to play this fight a little bit more safely than other bouts, because we've seen Azaitar left Teemu pack, and Teemu was convulsing on the octagon floor. So give me Frevola here. Let's take a look at the comments here. Lewis says, "Let's get this money." Yes, sir. Let's get after it today. Good morning. Good morning, Brad. Go get what's yours. Appreciate you. Good morning, Eric. Great to see you. Great to see you for this big pay-per-view. Good morning, Mike. Cheers. Cheers. Yes. Let's go. We gotta put our best foot forward, pick our spots, and I believe take a measured approach. Now, this is one of those cases where you have 14 fights, and I'll be honest, there are some solid spots here that I'll be highlighting throughout the course of the morning show, and I believe that we are in a situation where you may want to go a little bit heavier if you like some spots here, and we'll talk about a few of them in a second here. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate the feedback. We've been, I believe this is the 128th episode that we're putting on here. Let's continue the journey, my friends. Wellington-Turman taking on Andre Petroski. Petroski coming as a -200 betting favorite. Wellington-Turman +160. You watch Andre Petroski fight. He took out Nick Maximov last time out. Somebody who is going to grapple heavy. Somebody who is willing to empty his tank. Somebody who does not have the best cardio, let's be honest. Wellington-Turman, though, is a fighter who I lost some dough on him against Andrew Sanchez. I was not expecting him to end up in a striking war in that spot. Andrew Sanchez, man, you talk about how the mighty have fallen. Bruno Silva sent him packing. Wellington-Turman here, solid jiu-jitsu, someone who is going to end up going submission over position, which has cost him in many fights. He had Bruno Silva in a lot of trouble. He's had a number of fighters in trouble. And then we've seen his chin. Oh my gosh, it has shown itself to be suspect on numerous occasions here. Petroski, though, I believe his wrestling is going to be a difference maker here. His ability to change levels and attack the legs. Also, his squeeze. That's a real thing. We saw him put Maximov out very, very quickly. Now, if Turman can extend Petroski, then he becomes live here. But I'll be picking Petroski in this spot. I also see this fight ending inside the distance. I don't see, especially in the larger octagon, Petroski being able to, under these bright lights at Madison Square Garden, I don't expect him to be able to last the full 3 rounds and push an incredible pace. Next up, we have Erin Blanchfield taking on Molly McCann. I tweeted out something last night right after the weigh-ins. There was a tweet that went out, and I quote tweeted it. Molly McCann says, "You're from here. This is your hometown." Talking about Erin Blanchfield, who didn't really receive any type of welcome. Molly McCann has a contingency of fans who have traveled the globe and are here to support their brethren. Molly McCann looks massive. It honestly looks like she, I don't know what she's on. Every time out, she looks a little bit more muscular, a little bit denser. Her voice gets a little bit deeper. Not sure what's happening there, but she is a fighter who will, she'll go for it, and she will get submitted trying. Erin Blanchfield is a promising prospect who we've seen her come out and dispose of Miranda Maverick and others. Someone who is going to fight a smart game plan. Against Aldrich, though, we've seen the lack of striking ability is a concern in this spot. If Blanchfield doesn't take this fight to the mat early, McCann, we've seen she could throw on the feet and has a great gas tank. So am I going out of my way to play Erin Blanchfield at -400? No way in hell. I see a lot of folks were burned last time out against or playing Miranda Maverick inside the distance in her bout last week. You've seen Blanchfield on her come up. I think it was Sarah Alpar. She wasn't able to get Sarah Alpar out of there. I'm not touching this fight at these odds. Considering what's happening here, the build up for McCann. I know Blanchfield should roll, but I'm not banking on anything, especially when it comes to the volatility of women's mixed martial arts. There are only a few fighters I can trust. Jessica Andrade is one of them. There are only a few who you know what you're going to get every time out. But give me Blanchfield. I'm staying away from this bout. We have a few comments here. Let's see. Yes, you are correct, Evan. Very peculiar matchmaking. The meatball train. Yes, she may. It's interesting. Why? I wonder why did they do this? Is Blanchfield? We know she's a promising prospect. Very, very good question. Yeah. Oh, really? Yes. Well, James, I could speak to you in great lengths about hockey and fighting. I grew up basically in the NHL arenas, and you want to talk about Mick Vukota, Ken Baumgartner, Ty Domi, Rudy Pocek, man, Eric Cairns. There have been so many fighters throughout the years, Donald Brazier, Rob Ray, etc. We could go up that alley. I am very, very familiar. I've been in the arenas for thousands and thousands of fights, hockey fights, that is. But back to this fight, Blanchfield's going to be the pick. Next up, goodness gracious, Dominic Reyes taking on Reyes-Spann. Reyes-Spann coming in as a +175 betting favorite, or betting underdog, taking on Dominic Reyes -215 at the betting window. We've seen Dominic Reyes come out and falter in his last few fights, somebody who has had difficulty getting back on track now, has changed gyms multiple times. We've seen he went out to Colorado. He was with Team Oyama for a while. Seems to bounce around from gym to gym. I wonder what that's all about. I've known Dominic Reyes for a long time, even before he got into mixed martial arts. He is a solid guy who is a tremendous athlete. He will fight hard for your money, no doubt. We've seen his fight against Prochazka. That was a beating, and he hung in there and had his moments against the champion now. Reyes is a fighter who has that long left hand that you get caught at the end of those punches. It's gonna sting. OSP felt that left hand, and he also has a kick that you have to worry about, and his jiu-jitsu is legit, so don't sleep on that. Reyes-Spann, though, is a fighter who is a great hammer, but a horrible nail. Both of these fighters, when they are on the wrong side of getting clipped, it's not pretty. I don't see this fight going the distance. I wish we could get better odds. So if you want to hunt the under 2.5, that might be an option. Also, not a huge fan of playing under 1.5s, but that is an option as well. That could be had near plus money. I see somebody getting hurt real bad in this fight and going out. I don't trust Spann. Also, missing weight here. He against Anthony Smith checked out. We've seen in other fights he can check out, but against Nogueira, we've seen other bouts where he can put on a display as well. So it all depends on which Reyes-Spann comes into this fight. He is a bit of a front runner, let's be honest. Wow, the coffee is great this morning, my friends. All right, we're gonna continue this. My goal is to complete this full card breakdown in around 30 minutes. So we need to pick up the pace here. The keys to this fight are Dominic Reyes's willingness to exchange in the pocket. Is he going to be gun shy? Is he going to pull back? That is a concern. Do we have a more tentative approach here from Dominic Reyes, or is he going to come out guns blazing? Because we saw Reyes-Spann came out against Kudalaba. He went in there and was on a mission. So I think these guys may end up just colliding, and Dominic Reyes inside the distance is going to be my official pick, but I would not be surprised to see Reyes have a little bit of PTSD after the last few brutal stoppage losses. So give me Dominic Reyes. I'll be pulling for him, wishing him the best. Wow. Now this is one of my favorite fights of the day. Brad Riddell taking on Renato Moicano. City Kickboxing back in there again. Riddell plus 100. Both of these fighters coming off of losses here. Moicano against Rafael dos Anjos is coming into this fight. I know he took that bout on short notice, and man, that fight could have been stopped 3, 4, 5 separate times. At one point, Moicano had his back turned to RDA and stumbled into the side of the octagon near the end of the round. That was a horrific look. I know he fought hard to the final bell, but man, there were a lot of brain cells lost in that fight. And Moicano has the jiu-jitsu here. He has a clear path to victory when it comes to the jiu-jitsu, but how does he get the fight to the mat? That's going to be the question. I think both of these guys are going to end up trading. I think that Riddell's takedown defense may hold up early, and that's when we're going to see these guys end up going to war. And I think that somebody's going to get clipped and dropped, and there might be a submission that takes place here. I posted a free bet of Riddell Moicano fight doesn't go the distance at minus 132. I think that's a solid spot considering where we're at here. Riddell's been submitted a couple of times in the past. Against Fiziev, we saw he took a knockout loss there, but Moicano, he can crack. Moicano's been in there with Fiziev as well. Moicano will go for it. And I think that's going to be to his detriment. I think that the stick and move option isn't going to be here for Moicano. He's going to end up trading, and we've seen Riddell can plant his feet when he strikes, and he will go for it. I see somebody getting countered here, somebody getting dropped, and somebody getting submitted. I'll be picking Moicano to win via submission, but it would not surprise me one bit to see Riddell win this fight via knockout. All right. Martin says he can't believe that people think Izzy's exciting. Well, I'll tell you what, it takes two to tango. Okay. Evan, you believe Riddell live. Interesting. Well, I think Moicano is going to come out hot here. We'll see. And as far as Adesanya being boring, I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think that he is a person who he's a great fighter, Adesanya, and he's someone who is at the mercy of what his opponent shows him. So he's able to read his opponents. He's able to analyze what skill set they have actively during the fight and then respond accordingly. I was at the fight against Derek Brunson, and I got to see that live firsthand. And even against Cannonier fought. He didn't go for it, Cannonier. So let's continue this match making here. This quick card breakdown show. Claudio Puelles taking on Dan Hooker. Claudio Puelles, we know he fights out of a great camp. He's young. He's a spry individual who's quick. He will go for it. He's an opportunistic grappler. And Dan Hooker has been on the wrong side of a number of bouts here. Dan Hooker is going to have to come out fast. He's going to have to come out all lathered up. If I see him coming out of the dressing room and he's lathered up, he's got a good sweat going, then I'll know he's in a solid spot. If he looks dry, then that's an issue here. Dan Hooker, he cannot waste any time against Puelles. Puelles, you saw at weigh-ins, etc. He seems a little immature as far as the situation unfolding here. He's under the bright lights for the first time, showed up in a nice suit, weighed in properly, but Dan Hooker is a seasoned veteran, is going to bring the war to this kid. And my concern for Hooker, though, is if he does not start quick, then Puelles could come out here and have some success, especially grappling. It takes a while for Dan Hooker's strikes to find their target. And that's going to give Puelles a little bit of time to hop in there and to try to grapple here. Dan Hooker is going to be the play, though. I believe that you look at the experience, you look at the Nasrat Haqparast fight. There have been others where Hooker, he went into or he took on Felder in Australia. Or on the other side of the globe, he's fought some tough competition against Barbosa. We've seen Dustin Poirier, etc. I'm not going to beat a dead horse here, though. Dan Hooker, he has so much more in the tank than we are led to believe. I know Arnold Allen. I cashed on Arnold Allen last time out. I did not like the look for Hooker coming down to 145 pounds. I like what City Kickboxing is doing. I believe that Hooker is going to win this bout, but just be aware, this is another situation where you have City Kickboxing fighters going back to back, Riddell and then Hooker. So if Riddell gets knocked out, if Riddell gets knocked out, Hooker's going to have to come in there and stay focused and get ready to go out there and get this win. Hooker, he's got reach, he's got cardio, he's got strength. I'll be picking Dan Hooker here. He has a killer instinct also, and I do not trust Claudio Puelles' striking. I do not trust it one bit. So give me Dan Hooker. Next up, where we have Frankie Edgar taking on Chris Gutierrez. Chris Gutierrez coming as a minus 245 betting favorite. Frankie Edgar plus 195. Let's see. Edgar can be had at around plus 200 at some books, plus 195 at BetDSI. The interesting spot the interesting situation here is if Frankie Edgar's body holds up, then this is a very winnable fight for him. We've seen his body fall apart, though, in a number of recent bouts. Surprisingly, it held together against Pedro Munoz. Gutierrez here, he's not a great fighter. He's somebody who can get out wrestled, and Frankie Edgar has the skill set to do that and pull off a win here, especially on at MSG. I expect Edgar to put on a solid performance against Chito Vera. He was able to hang in there for over 2 rounds and looked decent against a top 5 bantamweight. Frankie Edgar is it's just a matter of that chin. I mean, he looks like he's 55 years old. He's somebody who has given his life to the sport, someone who I have a tremendous amount of respect for. Frankie Edgar. I've seen him fight many times, and he is a fighter who will give his best effort every single time out. Are the single legs going to be there? Is he going to have the blast double? Yes. Can Gutierrez get up? That is the question. Is Gutierrez going to have the opportunity to throw leg kicks at range? I don't think so. I think Edgar's going to close distance and put Gutierrez on his ass. And then it's just a matter of, can Gutierrez get back to his feet, and who's refereeing the bout too? That's what I need to know. I want to know, are we going to get a situation where the ref is going to peel Gutierrez off of Edgar, and they're going to put this fight up on the feet? Are they going to have some quick stand-ups here? Because if that doesn't happen, then Edgar could rinse and repeat takedowns for 3 rounds and win this fight. So I'm going to pick Frankie Edgar here. I think that he is live to earn this win. And Gutierrez, minus 245, he's going to have to get a finish here. I think that that's his only viable path to victory here, is to chop. I don't think chopping Edgar down is going to be effective. Man, I'm going to be picking Frankie Edgar here. I think that he has his path to victory is the grappling. And that MSG crowd should probably carry him for 15 minutes here. I'm concerned, though, about the beginning of each round. Every round starts out on the feet. So give me Frankie Edgar in that spot. Next up, Michael Chandler and Dustin Poirier. One of the most enticing matchups on the card. We saw Michael Chandler go all 3 rounds against Justin Gaethje at MSG last time out. Who would have thunk it as far as that fight going the distance? Very concerning for those holding that ticket. Now, as far as this fight goes, you've got southpaw fighter and Poirier, Michael Chandler coming in there. We've seen, I cashed on Chandler last time out against Benson Henderson when he fought a southpaw in that matchup. Chandler, what I love about him, his ability to get in and get out. His range finding is pretty impressive. And also, he doesn't tend to use his wrestling. He has that up his sleeve. A lot of people respect that part of his game, but he doesn't necessarily use it. Could he use it here? Yes, definitely he could. Poirier does not have great takedown defense. I don't have major concerns about Poirier's submission game here. Chandler could have some success, but then I think Chandler is he's got a front heavy fight in front of him. Somebody who is gonna Michael Chandler run out of gas the longer this fight goes, especially the second, third round. I saw Poirier to win via TKO KO at plus money, and I think that second or third round Poirier should be able to get this done if he isn't rendered unconscious. And we talk about being rendered unconscious and how that takes away your ability to win a fight. Matt Frevola, if he's able to stay conscious for 15 minutes, Frevola should win that fight. But in this matchup here, Michael Chandler is going to have to make the most of these opportunities. Poirier tends to start slow, and Chandler can start fast. So if this gets out of the first round, I would be looking at a Poirier play. I would also be looking at Poirier to win late. So give me Dustin Poirier to win via TKO late. We've got a few comments here. Let's see. Yes, Chandler does hit hard, and we are aware that Poirier has the stamina. Sergio says Matt Frevola going to sleep. That's a possibility. We've seen it happen before. Next up, we've got the co-main event of the evening. This is a phenomenal fight because of one side of the fight. You've got Carla Esparza, who barely got by Rose Namajunas, plus 255 betting underdog here. So I understand why folks are going back to the well. They also have a clear wrestling advantage for Carla Esparza, somebody who is a one-trick pony, and she's made the most of that one trick. And you have Weili Zhang, who has shown some grappling, especially wrestling deficiencies throughout her mixed martial arts career. Folks saw Yan Xiaonan take a loss to Carla Esparza and get grounded out rather quickly just a few fights ago. And Weili Zhang is somebody we saw recently against Joanna, former champion, showcase her grappling and her power, her physicality. In this fight, you're looking at a Carla Esparza now who's in her mid-30s, somebody who is going to be booed during her walk to the octagon, someone who really, when it comes down to it, she has no other threat than the wrestling, and it is a very dominant threat. I posted a tweet a few days ago that spoke to the dominant wrestling of Carla Esparza, and can Weili Zhang get back up? We saw against Rose Namajunas, Rose was able to hold her down towards the end of the fight, and that was a situation where if Zhang would have worked her way back to the feet, that would have been her fight to win. That fight could have gone either way, but the striking here, there's a huge discrepancy in power and striking and physicality. And I think that we're going to see Weili Zhang come out and not waste any time. I believe she's going to really put it on Esparza and take Esparza out of there. I saw the fight doesn't go the distance line at one point was sitting in the minus 120s. And then you had Weili Zhang to win inside the distance at plus 100-ish. So for only 20 or so cents, you could have had Weili Zhang and Carla Esparza, both sides of the fight, possibly finishing. I believe that would have been the better way to go than to just play Zhang inside the distance. I'll be picking Zhang to win here. I believe that she has not only the physicality, but she has been working on her game. We've seen improvements just about every single time out on the part of Weili Zhang. And also, this is a finisher by trade. There's a massive discrepancy in power here. So I'll be picking Weili Zhang, and I think that she has the skills. And here, you know what, Sergio, you bring up a great point. Esparza, she does panic. She panics when she can't get the takedown. My goodness gracious, it does not look pretty. And that's, I think, how this fight's going to play out. I think Zhang is just going to start unloading on her early and put Esparza in a situation where she's panic wrestling right from the opening get-go. So give me Weili Zhang. I could see there is a world that exists where Carla Esparza lands takedown after takedown and drains Zhang throughout the course of the fight. But I think the much more likely outcome here is Weili Zhang walks away with a victory. So I want to wish everybody out there an enjoyable experience watching this fight, whichever side of the fight you're on. Next up, main event of the night, where we have Alex Pereira taking on Israel Adesanya. Adesanya coming in as a minus 222 betting favorite. At one point, Adesanya could have been had in the minus 160s and 170s, but that has been bet up now. Alex Pereira plus 190 at the betting window. Somebody who, that left hand, as long as he's conscious, that left hand of Pereira is live here. It only takes one strike to end a fighter's night when Alex Pereira is in the octagon. And there are a few things at play here, though. You've got Pereira, who only has 7 professional mixed martial art bouts under his belt. He does have a couple of victories over Adesanya. Yes, I have watched back that those kickboxing fights numerous times, although it is a different discipline, and Adesanya was having significant success prior to getting caught by that left hand. In this spot, I've seen Adesanya perform under the bright lights. I know that Pereira has fought at MSG and had against Michailidis, was able to get a win there as well. But Adesanya is a fighter who defensively, this needs to get brought up, that defensively he's masterful, at least at mixed martial arts. And I think that is going to be the difference maker here. Two things: the defensive Adesanya, the 3 things: the experience of Adesanya, and also the gas tank of Adesanya. One of the last fighters to the scales was Alex Pereira, and the longer this fight goes, I think we're going to see Adesanya pull away, and he's got to be safe, man. And he can't get overzealous. He's got to let Pereira make the mistakes. And there may be a feeling out process here, especially early. But once that left hand starts trying to find its target, Adesanya will have to mind his P's and Q's and make the most of these opportunities, because I see more paths to victory for Adesanya, and that he is the rightful favorite in this spot. So I'll be picking Adesanya. It would not surprise me to see this fight go all 5 rounds, just due to the respect factor that Adesanya has for Pereira's power. And he doesn't need to force. I mean, if you want to keep that belt, you don't have to force a finish and put yourself at risk. So I'll be picking Israel Adesanya in that spot. Now, James says Pereira looks scarier, though. Yeah, all right. Yeah, if looking scary doesn't necessarily win you fights. So Adesanya is going to be the pick. Want to thank everybody for tuning in today. You can see the sun is starting to make its way into the studio here. We're getting this show out bright and early. Evan says that there was a volatile matchup earlier on the card, and I agree with him. There are a number of volatile matchups. Remember, 9 out of the 14 fights are currently favored to end inside the distance. I do think we see a lot of finishes here. Last time out at Madison Square Garden, 7 of 14 fights ended via finish. So I'll be expecting a lot of finishes here. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Remember to go get what's yours. The other thing is make sure you track your plays. As far as I'm concerned, if you didn't track it, it didn't happen. You see folks posting tickets all the time, and especially if you're tipping plays. If you're tipping plays and you don't have a tracked record, it makes it a challenge, because folks can't tail you, and it puts you in a challenging situation. So when you have the opportunity to post plays, go for it. And I want to take this time to thank everybody for tuning in on a regular basis. We put our best foot forward every single time out. So cheers to you. Have a phenomenal fight day, and UFC 281. Let's get after it, my brothers. Let's do it.